In this magical silver makeup bag of mine, I have the ultimate starter kit slash sort of beginner's guide to makeup for cool olive skin. These are all the products that I wish I knew about way sooner. And I know I always say this, but I love making these videos so you can skip the sort of trial and error phase that I went through to find these products that actually work, because you probably already know and you've probably already done this, trying a lot of makeup that just doesn't work for you and wasting money. This video is going to be super helpful. All of my favorites that I think you're going to love, that I just find ultra flattering for cool olive skin, fair olive skin. I got you. If you enjoyed this video or find it helpful at any point, please don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. By liking this video, you're going to help it get to other fair olives who also need recommendations. So just think of them as like your past self who needs recommendations. So give it a thumbs up to let me know you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get into my picks. I won't be going over how to know if you have olive skin or anything like that in today's video, just because if you're watching this, you probably already know your undertone. But if you do want a full, like, dedicated, in-depth video about fair olive skin, cool olive skin, and just all of the nuances within the olive skin tone, for sure let me know in the comments below. But this video is focused on my favorite products. Getting into my prime and prep category, they're actually all from the drugstore. So starting off, this is such a staple of mine. It's the CoverGirl Color Correcting Serum Moisturizer and Primer. This is a really beautiful emollient, like, moisturizer type of primer. It's a green tinted primer, so if you have olive skin, you could mix this into foundation, or you can wear it as a base. I have a lot of redness, so it does correct my redness, but I also find it leaves a nice green tint behind that actually helps my foundations mesh with my skin a little bit better. It feels so high quality from the drugstore. You get a nice glass bottle. I rave about this all the time, but it really is an amazing product. Next, if you feel like you don't necessarily need that color correcting primer, I feel like this is such a beautiful glowy product for cool olive skin. This is the CoverGirl, another CoverGirl primer, Trublend Skin Enhancer. I love CoverGirl because my skin is sensitive, so the primers work really well for me, but also they're just really freaking good primers. This is the Jelly Opal Glow, sort of glow product. I've mentioned this so much already, but it truly is beautiful. It reminds me of the Say Glowy Super Gel. It has a little bit more shimmer than that product, so I find it can accentuate texture if you put it all over the face or really textured areas. But just on the high points, it has such a beautiful silver reflect through it, which is why I put it in this video. I feel like it really will bring out the cool olive tones in your skin and just give you that sort of like ethereal glow. Also love the pump packaging. Beautiful product. Next up, not only is this super affordable, but I feel like it has a lot of usage for olive skin. It's the E.L.F color corrector. Now this is the green shade, so you could mix this into foundations just to add a green tone into it. You could use it as a color corrector. This is more like it doesn't have a ton of pigment to it. It's nice and blendable and thin, so it's not very thick. They do also sell this in a blue and yellow shade. Now if you have a lot of warm foundations and you feel like they pull yellow, if you grab the blue shade, blue plus yellow will equal green. So if you mix that into those foundations, it should create a nice, more wearable undertone for you. I have a video where I do that with a Kosas foundation. It's actually a short on my channel. And then on the other flip side of it, if you have a lot of pink tone foundations, you could grab that yellow shade to sort of add the warmth back in. So these are just really versatile. If you didn't want to have to buy a new foundation, but you wanted like a little bit of a quick fix, they're really good. Next, for foundations, I know this can be such a tough category to find a foundation that actually matches you, but I have a couple options here that actually have olive undertones. Let's go ahead and start with a foundation that actually like perfectly matches my skin, and I recently tried this. It's from RCMA makeup, and this is a fair olive shade. It's called G110, and this is their foundation. I love the shade. I'm not quite sure how I feel about the formula yet. I do have it on my skin today. It's more of an emollient formula, and I'm used to really water-based foundations, so I think I'm just like trying to figure out how to make it work for my skin. I think so far applying it with my hands has been my favorite look. With a sponge, it can look almost a little bit too heavy, but it literally matches my skin perfectly, so it's just one that I would go to if I want that perfect shade match. It is kind of something you may have to compromise with. Is, would you rather have your foundation match perfectly, or would you rather have it be a little bit off but have a formula you like more? I have a variety of foundations, whatever I'm feeling that day, but this one, if you feel like you have the same skin tone as me, is really an amazing match. I forgot to grab this one out, but just to really quickly mention it, if you feel like you're a very cool toned olive, the Rose Ink foundation in the lightest shade that claims to be a fair olive shade is fair olive. It's a little bit too cool toned on me, but if you tried that concealer in the lightest shade and you found that it was a really good match for you, try out that foundation because it's a really similar shade. But moving on, I will go ahead and swatch the rest of the foundations next to these. My favorite formula and just wear and feel on the skin for sure is the About Face foundation. Now they do have an olive shade in F2 Olive. I find this too dark on its own, so I do have to mix in the F1 neutral shade, which I find too light on its own and not quite olive enough. But these two together, because these are so affordable, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to have two of them on hand because I love this formula. It's so natural looking, feels super lightweight, it's really comfortable to wear. It's just the perfect everyday foundation in my opinion. So you do get a doe foot applicator with these. They do tend to like fling product out if you pull out the wand too hard, so it might still do it. I just like to wiggle it out to prevent that. So this is the lightest shade, which is F1 neutral. You can see compared to the RCMA foundation, which definitely has that green olive undertone, this one is more of a true neutral shade. I can wear this one. I can wear both of these on their own and they're not terrible, but I feel like mixed, they're perfect. So this is the F2 Olive shade. So there is F2 Olive. You should be able to pick up that it has that more olive undertone. It's not quite as like green as the RCMA one that matches me perfectly. It has more of that like warm olive tone. I feel like if they made one shade that was like a cool olive shade in this line, I would freak out. But you know, it's not too bad to buy two of them. And then I have another foundation recommendation. This one is powder. I like to give different formulas within each category. Even though they are beginner starter kits, just pick what formula you like best because not all of us like the same formulas, especially when it comes to base. So if you like a powder foundation, or I'll describe how I like to use this one in a little bit. It's the ALIMA Pure Satin Matte Foundation. This is the shade Olive Zero. This is a slightly more warm olive, and I know this is more of a cool olive video, but I find that it's a pretty dang good match. It's only slightly off on my skin, and having olive skin, that's pretty much a win, if you know what I'm saying. So this formula I've loved for years. This is great to layer over foundation. I actually have it sort of like on this part of my face here to boost the coverage. This is one that's so comfortable to wear. It doesn't get cakey or powdery looking. It's one of my favorite loose powder foundations ever. And if you have super sensitive skin and you need something that's just like pure, this one is really good. Just keep in mind it is a slightly more warm olive shade, but the finish of these, it's called Satin Matte, by the way, is a beautiful satin matte. It doesn't like look too matte or look too glowy. It's perfect. Now for concealers. I absolutely love the HAUS Labs formula. It's the most creaseless concealer I've ever tried. I also really like this golden shade on my skin. Not really like a fair cool olive perfect match, but the fact that it's a little bit more yellow, I feel like cancels out the purple in my under eyes. This is my personal favorite formula, but if you wanted more of like a cool olive, really good match, the Rose Ink Concealer in LX010 is a very cool olive concealer. Like I mentioned, the foundation is also like a similar shade to this. Go ahead and swatch this one. This is a really creamy, full coverage concealer. I feel like it creases a little bit on me, a little bit too much for my preference, but I still think it's really beautiful. See, that shade is just perfection. So the HAUS Labs one, you can definitely tell you're getting a lot more of that yellow. This one's very light and has more of that cool olive undertone. And then if you look at those and you feel like they're still not quite bright enough for your skin, this is such a good one from SURRATT. This is their Dewdrop Concealer in the shade 1. This is pretty dang close to being a white concealer. I love how brightening this is, and I love the formula. I know it's a more luxury product, but it's so lightweight and it does not crease on me, so it's a really nice, just like all around, more medium coverage product. And compared to these, this undertone is really nice and neutral. I don't find that it's like too warm. It's definitely more of like a neutral, cool shade, so I think for cool olive skin, it works really well. And if I want something brightening, this is what I'm going for because it just has such fairness to it. It's great. You get a little sponge tip applicator. I think it's a really good formula. Now for powders, which I think are also a really important aspect of base for olive makeup. I have two loose powders here. Now these will not cast dark on fair skin. That's why they are my favorite. But also they each have their own unique properties. So starting off with the Beauty Crop, this is the Vitamin Babe setting powder and this is the shade Lilac 7. I feel like Lilac is a nice shade for cool olive skin that's a little bit brightening, and it kind of just goes with our coloring very well. The reason why I like this one, the lilac is so subtle, so it really doesn't alter the shade of your foundation. It just gives a little bit of like extra brightening compared to a normal powder. Now, formula wise, this can be a little bit drying and a little bit matte. I have it on today and my skin's a little bit dry because of retinol, so it's a little bit much for me. But if you have more oily skin, I think this is a good one, or just go way more light-handed than I went today. But this is a really nice loose setting powder. You get a little puff here. The actual formula of the powder is very thin, so it's mattifying, but if you wanted something with like a hint of lilac, it's a great, more affordable option. Next is this beautiful powder from the brand Flora Sis, which is a C Beauty makeup brand. This is the gorgeous Peach Blossom powder. This formula is exquisite. You get such a beautiful like puff with it. Has a really nice closure, and then you open it up. This is a really fine powder, but it's so smoothing and beautiful and not as like mattifying or as drying feeling as this one. So if you have more like normal combo or dry skin, I would say this one is the way to go. Now this one is just like a completely translucent powder, but they do also carry, I believe, this powder and also the pressed powder in different like colored versions. I have the pressed version. It's actually in my bag in the lilac version, so I love that. Really check out this formula or the other shades that they have from this brand. They're beautiful for fair olive skin. Now moving into bronzers and cheek products in general, if you just wanted like an all-in-one product, this is the Made by Mitchell curve case in the shade Lighter Than Light. I did a whole video on this, and basically these contours are such good matches. Some of you said they literally blended into my skin, which to me is a good thing because you can build the depth of these. They truly have olive undertones in these, and you also get that purple blush, the pink blush. I feel like this is a good corrector shade. And then this one, if you wanted a slightly warmer blush, it doesn't pull too warm either. Check out the video I did on this for swatches and how it looks on my skin, but if you just wanted like a cream all-in-one palette, I would reach for this one. For bronzers, I really do have a ton of bronzer recommendations. If you wanted even more, check out my bronzer ultimate guides that I do. I will have them linked at the end of this video. But if you just wanted like my favorite bronzer at the moment, it's definitely the RMS Beauty Beach Walk Betty. This is such a beautiful neutral shade, so if you have olive skin, cool olive skin, and you feel like things pull really warm, this has never pulled warm on me. Like, I can layer it and it's so freaking beautiful. I love the RMS formulas. You know, they're glowy, they're baked, they just look like skin. Can't go wrong. I do have this on today and almost every day. It's just my favorite. And then to go along with that, of course, I love the RMS blushes as well. For cool olive skin, I would go with the Bermuda Rose shade. I also like French Rosé. This one has a little bit more purple in it, which I find slightly more flattering for olive undertones. Again, beautiful formula. I talk about these all the time, so I don't want to keep ranting, but they're so good. And again, my code gets you 20% off, so I got you. For cream blushes, this is like a recent resurgent favorite of mine, I guess. I had a different shade of this, Beret, which I really liked. This one is my new favorite for sure. This is the Merit Beauty. These are their cheek colors. This is the shade Mood, which is like this browny purple shade that I would not think works for my skin. But I have it on my skin today. I am flushing a little bit with like rosacea, so you can't, I think from the back of the cheeks you can tell that's like the true shade of it. It's so glowy, it's so beautiful. I just love the undertone of this so much. It's a nice lightweight cream. I don't feel like it feels too heavy. It's really easy to use. Also beautiful on the lips, and I saw in Sephora they're coming out with a lot of gift sets, and they have this with I think 2 other blush shades. So if you wanted to check it out, I will have it linked below. For highlights, I did just do a full highlighter guide if you wanted even more recommendations like this, but I have 2 of my favorites here that I think would be my top picks for cool olive skin. First, for powder, the HAUS Labs highlight in the shade Moonstone, which is this silver. If you have any sort of coolness in your skin, this is just going to make you glow. I think for olive undertones, it may be a common problem that like you've tried a lot of highlighters and feel like none of them look good on you. Try silver. Changed my life, honestly. I absolutely love this highlighter. I talk about it a lot, but it's such a pretty undertone. And then for a cream highlight, I think the Westman Atelier Lit Up Highlighter Stick in the shade Lit, which is this like clear base, but it has quite a strong purple shift to it, is just gonna look so good on cool olives. It's one of my favorites, so I think you're going to enjoy it too. It doesn't pull too purple. It has like purple, blue, and like white pearlescence in it, but it's very subtle. Like, it doesn't have a very visible shimmer, so it just gives you that like literally ethereal glow. It's so gorgeous. Definitely more dewy, but if if you wanted to like splurge on it, it's really special. Go ahead and move into eyeshadows. I would recommend one of these 3 palettes. First would be the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette or the Natasha Denona Xenon palette. The one that I have here is the I Need a Nude Shell, but this actually has a mix of both the I Need a Nude shades and the Xenon shades. I actually do feel like I use more of the Xenon shades, surprisingly. If you have like a very cool olive undertone and you love cool tones on the eyes, I think the Xenon palette is beautiful. But if you like more neutrals, a little bit more pink, you may want to go with the I Need a Nude. This is my little combo palette, but these are so worth the investment because I just always reach for them over my other eyeshadows. There's one place I feel like you want to spend a little bit more money on, it would be eyeshadows. But if you didn't want to spend that much, the ColourPop Stone Cold Fox palette, forgot to grab it out, but I'll put it on the screen here. It's this big palette, has a bunch of different cool tones in it. If you like cool tones on the eyes, you're gonna love it. I think the best affordable eyeshadow formula would definitely be ColourPop. And then some more drugstore options for like a cream liner stick. These are the Maybelline Color Tattoo eye sticks, and I think for cool olive skin, if you don't necessarily want to wear like just exclusively cool tones, if you want to try a gold, these like burnished sort of, I don't know what to call them, like slightly more yellow golds, I personally find really flattering. I have this on like an eyeliner today and right on the lower lash line, and let me find the shade of this. It's the shade I Am Rare. It has a sharpener on the end. Really nice, long-lasting, just eyeshadow stick formula. I think these muted golds are just gorgeous on bare olive skin. And then I also love the NYX Epic Wear liner sticks. I mean, look how little mine is getting. This is the shade Gold Plated, which is really similar to that Maybelline eyeshadow stick. Again, just has that like burnished type of more muted gold. I find really flattering. I don't feel like it pulls too warm. So if you did want like an alternative to just your plain old cool neutrals, I really like these two, but also just the formulas in general. If there's any other shades that you like, I have so many of these. I have a silver, I have basically all the shimmers, so just whatever shade you love. This is one of my favorites though. For mascara, if you have cool olive skin and you haven't tried like an alternative to black mascara, definitely give it a go. I have 2 here. First is the CoverGirl Eye Enhancer. This is the shade Berry Brown, which is this like burgundy shade. It's so beautiful. It's quite a pigmented burgundy. Like you can tell that it's not just like a deep brown red mascara. Like it shows up red, but in such a beautiful way. So yeah, if you already are wearing maybe like a brown mascara and you want something a little bit different, I really like the Berry Browns. I think they look really pretty on olive skin. If you want something a little bit more muted, not necessarily as bold as that one, the Maybelline Sky High. I love this formula. It's my favorite mascara formula. They have the shade, what is the name of this? It's like the burgundy shade one. I have this one on today, so you probably can't tell too much. It just gives you that like hint of purple that I feel like just really brings out my skin, brings out my eyes, and I love the formula, so can't go wrong with this. I love that mascara. Brands and companies are coming out with these like burgundy type of colors. I think they're so pretty, so try one of these 2 from the drugstore if you wanted to try them out. Now for lips, if you have cool olive skin, you're probably familiar with lips products in general pulling really warm on you. These like nudes on other people look like straight up orange. Like that's the story of my life. So these are my favorite lip combos and products that don't pull warm. I have a full cool toned lip guide. I know I keep mentioning my full guides, but if you really were looking for more array of suggestions, you can check those out after this video. These are my like pared down just capsule collection. First, the ColourPop Cool BFF lip liner. Of course, this is an absolute staple of mine. It matches my lips so well and it does not pull warm. It's such a pretty like purpley taupe that's not too dark. It's just perfection. If you haven't tried this yet, off of my recommendation, what are you doing? But for real, it's so good. They also have the Beeper shade, which is like a nice more pinky nude if you wanted that instead. So although I have the ultimate cool tone lip swatch guide, I've actually found a lot of new products lately, so I wanted to mention these in today's video. First is the lip that I have on today, which is one of the Maybelline Superstay Vinyl Inks. I feel like this shade scared me a little bit in the packaging. It looks a little bit bright. On the lips though, this is such a flattering shade, especially for cool tone skin. This is the shade 160 Sultry. I feel like it's a neutral cool rose, but it doesn't pull like too purple. It still is like very like neutral looking on me and natural looking. These formulas are, I have a comparison right after I show you this. They're a liquid lipstick formula, but they don't completely dry down, so you get a little bit of tack left to them, but because of that you get a little bit of shine, so it's not like a outdated super matte liquid lipstick. So that's why I like these formulas. Maybelline can be, like, their lip products for me can be a little bit too vanilla. This one definitely has a strong scent out of the tube, but once it dries down I don't really feel like it has a scent at all, which I like. So this shade I think is really beautiful if you wanted to check the formula out. So I feel like the Maybelline Superstay Vinyl Inks are the drugstore version of the Urban Decay Vice Bond lipsticks, which I've mentioned before. If scent is an issue for you, these ones don't really smell like anything to me, the Urban Decay ones, so you might want to go for this one. But they're basically the same type of liquid lipstick formula where they don't completely dry down, so you get a little bit of shine. This is the OG Back Talk shade, which I absolutely love. They also have, like, any of the Back Talk line I think are good. These products never like swatch that well because they're kind of meant to like dry on the lips. I don't know why they're swatching a little bit weird, but this shade is just like the prettiest neutral pink. I feel like this one is really similar to the Love Ya Back Talk, which is like the slightly deeper version of this, but both of these have that beautiful like muted rose undertone. And then for just the traditional bullet lipstick formula, I just tried this, but I've been using a lot from Revlon. It's just their lipstick formula in the shade Primrose. This is a very like purple pink, so it can pull almost like too cool toned on me, but I like using this like a light layer of it in combination with the ColourPop Cool BFF and then the lip gloss I'm going to mention. But if you wanted just like an even cooler tone, like really pretty Barbie cool tone pink, these are such nice formulas. They also have like a lot of different purple tones I'm excited to try from them. I also really love the CoverGirl lipstick in the shade Romance Mauve. Wanted something like a little bit deeper and more muted. These are so freaking creamy and pigmented. CoverGirl, I feel like people are sleeping on them right now. All of their new products I've tried have been incredible besides the eyeshadow. But yeah, this shade especially is so freaking pretty. If you wanted like a purple tone, definitely not gonna pull warm, and it will really flatter those cool olive undertones. And then for a gloss, I love the E.L.F plumping lip glosses. This is the shade from the Jennifer Coolidge collab. I just ordered a new shade from them, and I do have the shade Sparkling Rosé, which is a purple shade. So love that one. I also really like this light pink. Just this formula in general, go for one of the gold tones and they're just beautiful. And then if you're just more of like a sheer balmy lip product type of person, the E.L.F lip oils, I would say go with this shade, which is Jam Session, which is this really pretty like muted purpley burgundy red. It's so sheer, it definitely doesn't pull this dark on the lips at all. Have a little bit of like a peppermint scent. This is just gorgeous. I feel like I could put it on my lips today. By the way, I have the Maybelline Vinyl Ink on my lips today. I don't know if I mentioned that, but just to like top a lip off, it will mute down the shade. It also, just the tone on its own is gorgeous. If you want something quick and easy, these are so affordable and you can't go wrong. But yeah, recommend the shade for olive skin for sure. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found this capsule collection little starter kit helpful. I will have all the products linked below with the shades that I mentioned. I would love if you were to like and subscribe. Thank you for being here as always. I really do appreciate it. And I'm gonna pop another one of my probably cool tone swatch video, something like that on the screen here, so we could keep hanging out. Maybe one of my playlists so we can hang out for even longer. I got a lot of good recs in that one, so check it out. But I will see you over there. Bye.